before we go into your life or what you do, I just want to share this one story that from back in the day. We've known each other since like
Which one?
No, no, it's like something that's dear to me. 2003, SARS is happening. People, like, I'm getting married. People are canceling left and right because either flights or like they don't want to risk coming to Toronto because of SARS, or just bad weather. I think in your case it was bad weather.
Yeah.
So maybe you could. This is my side. Maybe you could give us more details. But I got a call in the morning. Hey man, sorry I can't make it to your wedding. And then like you gave your the bad weather. So I totally understood. So when I go to the church, I said like, wait. What's Johnny doing here? Like, I see Jonathan. It turns out you took an overnight flight on either military or like a cargo flight. What's the story with that?
Yeah, so the story was that there was SARS happening then, but that wasn't really what was affecting me. So in Calgary, where I was flying out of, there's just this absolute freak blizzard, and like it actually, I almost didn't even make it to the airport. It took me about 3 hours to make normally like a 1 hour trip to get to the airport, and everything was snowed in. So I had originally booked on an airline that's no longer around. It's called, I believe it's Jetsco. Remember Jetsco?
Yeah.
It was kind of like like the discount airline of back in the day.
Yeah.
So I booked on Jetsco for the flight, and as I'm driving down to the airport, my dad was driving with me, and I get this email notice. That the flight's been canceled
because of the weather.
Because of the weather, right?
Okay.
So I'm shit. Well, I gotta go. So as I'm going down, we didn't have smartphones back then. I didn't have a smartphone, so I couldn't book. So I called WestJet as I'm driving down, and you got any flights going to Toronto right now? Yeah. Okay. So I bought another flight over the phone as I'm driving down, saying okay, we're gonna be okay. I get to the airport, and it's just like mass confusion, as an airport will be when everything's shut down, if you've ever been to one.
Yeah.
And so I check in for the flight, and they said check in, they're like, it's pretty touch and go. We don't even know if this is going to fly. I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake. Because, I've paid for 2 flights at this point, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I get over to the WestJet side, or pardon me, over in, like, just through security and over into the flight area. And so I guess the boarding time, they cancel. It's delayed. And it's about 2 hours past when we're supposed to take off. And my dad had already left, because I told him, I was like, no, I'm going to get out of here. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Yeah. So he'd already made it home, actually, when we finally got the final notice from a WestJet that, sorry, we're canceling all flights, right? But I notice over on the Jetsco counter, where I had my original flight booked, that there's some activity, and they're talking, and they're kind of doing whatever. So I immediately just pick up my carry-on bags, and I walk right over to the Jetsco counter and say, hey, look, I was supposed to be on this flight, but yeah, I got told it was canceled. I bought a WestJet flight, they're canceled. I want to know, are you guys flying? Like, oh yeah, we're going to fly because we got to get this plane to Toronto now. We're just getting told by head office, we got to get this plane to Toronto, so it's going to go. So I was like, well, okay, how do I do this? Because I got luggage booked, and he's like, okay, well, so long story short, the counter attendant walked me all the way back through. We had to get my baggage out of the WestJet claim, do this whole process, get everything done, and I'm like the only passenger who's going to get on this Jetsco flight, because it was a maintenance flight that had to get back to the plane itself had to get back to Toronto at some point. So, like, okay, great. So this is at about, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And I still hadn't called you to tell you yet what was going on. Because this is just a nightmare, honestly. And I didn't know, but I assumed that the day before your wedding, you probably got more things to worry about than what's going on with your passengers.
Yeah.
So we get on the flight, and it's taking off down the runway. And, as the plane's speeding up, and all of a sudden the plane just goes, wah, 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 wah. And all the lights go off. And then the pilot comes on. He's like, we have a problem.
What? So you're the only passenger?
Yeah, I was the only passenger.
Is there a flight attendant?
Yeah, there's a flight attendant.
Okay.
Right? He's like, we got a problem. We don't know what it is. We're gonna take it back to the shop. So we get.
That's scary.
Yeah. So we get. So these we get towed back in by, I guess, airport tow or air airline tow trucks or airplane tow trucks. And so I go back into the waiting room, and I keep in mind I'd already been here for like 8 hours prior to this. So I'm like back in the same place, and so I asked the lady, well, what's going on? They're like, we don't know. We don't even have any technicians here. We gotta get Air Canada to come look at it for us. We gotta wait for them to do it. Blah blah blah. There's something wrong with the plane. So I was like, well, are you guys gonna get back to Toronto? Like, well, we'll let you know. It's the pilot's call at this point. So I'm like, you can either wait here or you can leave. I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait it out. But at this point, I figured I better call you and tell you. But I thought, well, I got a double-edged sword here, because number one, if I can't make it, I tell them. But number two, if I can like get in on this flight overnight, it's gonna be a great surprise. Yeah. so then I call you, and I just like poured my heart in the message, because I mean I just like poured all my frustration and like sorrow, and like I felt so bad. I remember telling you like, so I'm like, man, I'm really sorry, man. Like I tried my best or something. Like I was really like, and it was genuine, right? Like I've done everything. I can't get out of here. So I remember you called me back and you're like, I feel you, buddy. I'm so sorry, right? Yeah. So then at like midnight or like 1 o'clock, I was sleeping on these chairs, and finally, the lady's like, yeah, the pilot's gonna go. We're gonna go. Do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting on this plane. So I remember getting on, and it was just this sort of like rickety. I'm like, oh well, whatever. What's the worst that can happen here? Everybody wants to live, so I'm sure the pilots want to make it, and I'll go too. So yeah, I remember landing at about 6 a.m, not having a clue, because I didn't get the directions to your church or anything from you, right?
Oh yeah.
So not having a clue. I looked it up in the phone book. You know, like I'm talking to to people like, oh, I gotta go like to Shepherd or something, right? And so anyway, I made it. Yeah, but it was rough, but. Yeah, that was definitely an experience in perseverance, that's for sure.
Man.
So that was my side of your story for sure.
Yeah, and that's the side I never heard. Yeah. And that's why it stuck out to me. Like I appreciate that. Like out of like everyone canceling, you're like the one guy from school that was able to make it, and you know, even people like nearby, you know, in nearby provinces, they weren't able to make it, but you were. So that I was like, I really appreciate that.